We are the Shaman and The Showman.
Join us July 16th and 17th, Saturday and Sunday, for Connecticut's premier paranormal convention at the Ansonia Armory.
The city of Ansonia's Mayor Cassetti has some psychic predictions for us.
Correction, Shaman. It is the amazing clairvoyant Cassetti.
Clairvoyant Cassetti, what's your first prediction?
My first prediction is I predict that Paraconn will be more successful than last year's sellout crowd.
What is your second prediction, Mayor?
My second prediction is that everyone will have a spectacular time at the Paraconn.
Any last predictions, Clairvoyant Cassetti?
Could you ease up on that red light? I'm trying to make a prediction here. And I predict that you will be joining us Saturday and Sunday, July 16th and 17th at the Ansonia Armory.
What's up, horror fiends? How are you? It's your boy Ricky Grimes, Horror Fiend TV. You're watching Three Corners of Horror. We got a big panel today, as you can see, a very special episode. But first, I'm going to introduce to you our two guests. We got the Shaman and the Showman today. We're going to start with Charles Rosenay. What's going on, Charles? You're a Horror Fiend TV alumni, so tell us, what's going on with you right now.
Great to be back. I'm going to just take off the next month. Got nothing going on. No new books, no conventions, nothing to talk about. But this is like, Halloween is like usually the craziest time of the year for us. And now all of a sudden it's July because we've got Paraconn coming up like in a matter of minutes. We're talking about Saturday and Sunday, July 16th and 17th at the Ansonia Armory, bringing it back, bringing it to another level. And yeah, the Shaman who's with us and the Showman are doing everything we can to make it the best paranormal convention in history.
That's it.
Nice. I heard a lot about this from last year because GR had went last year and he raved about it. I'm going this year, my first one, so I'm excited. All right, we got Nick, right? Nick Grossmann.
You got it.
I apologize.
Nicholas is fine.
I didn't know if you went by Nick or Nicholas, so.
Doesn't matter.
Awesome, Nick. Thank you for joining us as well. Big part of Paraconn. Glad you're on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on, Nick.
Sure. I like back in the early 90s, I noticed that I had like this clairvoyant ability. And, the funny thing was back in 1996, I worked at TJ Maxx and I spent my paycheck in the occult section of the bookstore. And I studied all sorts of like occult things. And, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in my house. Granted that I lived behind a convalescent home, which I sometimes volunteer to this day. And, the funny thing is I realized so many people died there like a week, and it opened up a huge spiritual portal there. And not just me, but my neighbors all experience paranormal phenomenon. And that's what's going on with me today. And, I vow to help people out that are having any type of paranormal troubles, whether it's a spirit haunting their homes, a family member, or like a demonic entity. And I do my own form of exorcism.
Hey, Nick, can I tell them our encounter, how we met and all that?
Absolutely, 100%, yeah.
Guys, you're going to get a kick out of this. One of you are going to get really familiar with the place that I'm going to mention. But a few years back, I was the founder and owner, and I used to host people coming into Fright Haven, the haunted attraction in Connecticut, which I've since, I'm no longer associated with. But at the time, people would come in and I'd welcome them and I'd give them a little shtick before I'd let them in, sort of like set them up for the scares. And Nick comes to the door and I'd never met him before. And he says, this place is haunted. And I go, thank you. I guess I've done a good job, right? That's my job, to make it a haunted attraction. He goes, no. It's really haunted. And he's got that same serious expression on his face, And I'm like, ooh, okay, we got another one of those nutters walking through the door.
Yep.
And
Eccentric.
have a good time. He walks through. He comes to see me when it's all done. I mean, he's persistent. And he goes, no, listen, I know you think I'm nuts, but I really feel something going on here. And we get to talking. We go on. I said, all right, let me give this guy a chance. More I know him, the more I see that he's the real deal. He's psychic. He's clairvoyant. He's a healer. He's an empath. He's a shaman. He's got all the real elements of everything that's, it's, beyond the imaginable. If you don't believe the stuff, you don't believe in him. But if you know what he can do, he's the guy who walks into that room on the corner of Elm Street. I shouldn't use Elm Street, but whatever street it is,
right here.
Walks through the house.
Nightmare on Elm
Awesome.
Hey, there's an Elm Street in Bridgeport.
There is.
Yep.
There's an Elm Street in Bridgeport. So
Every town has one.
I was just gonna say that. I think every town has an Elm Street.
yeah, there's an Elm Street in Bridgeport. Actually, as soon as you said Elm Street, I remembered Bridgeport's Elm Street. So anyway, go ahead.
We he can walk into the house, and we've done it, because we've done other things, and he'll say, oh my gosh, an elderly lady passed away in this room, and they're like,
Yep.
yeah, the grandma, he'll just know that stuff. So anyway, he says, we got to do something here, because this is beyond just this haunted attraction. We got to do an event. And he talks me into doing something upstairs at Fright Haven, which no one really knows about. Fright Haven used to be a movie theater, and it was also a gym. Upstairs, which we didn't use, had one of these rooms that were filled with mirrors, as you would have in a gym. And he says, we're going to do a scrying session. I'd never heard of it, didn't know what it was, but I'll give you the setup. We advertised the event as proving the paranormal. And I thought, okay, if I can get another 50 people in this place on the off hours, I'm going to do it. It made sense as the showman, as the financial guy. This made sense to me. And Nick didn't budge. He says, we're going to do it. I'm going to prove to you. And he set up the room like, whoa, turned down all the lights and only put on a few red lights as spots, put candles everywhere, put on ambient music. I introduced him to this sold out crowd of 50. That's all we could fit, not knowing what he was going to do, what he was going to say, what was going to come down. Well, I don't want to say he put the people in a trance, but the people walked out of this place like shell-shocked. One of them, as they're looking into the mirror, saw the dead relatives come to life right next to them. Another one, you're sitting in a room with 50 people closed, this is before COVID, packed, and the rest of the people disappeared, and the old person saw themselves alone levitating. A third person, and I love bringing this guy up because Nick will remember, he's one of the owners of an escape room, one of those escape rooms in Connecticut. He doesn't believe in this stuff at all. The biggest skeptic, the biggest non-believer, brought his family because they were into it. He comes out of this place and he's literally shaking. He said, I got to tell you, I was looking in the mirror and I disappeared and only the people around me were there. And it's like, so, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Nick fan from this point on because I'm thinking, all right, we can do endless more.
And I'm a Charles fan.
He
all the time.
The bottom, there's a punchline to this story, and that's the fact that we did a little research with the town of Stratford, and that whole strip mall where Fright Haven is located.
It's all.
Can you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
The Indian burial ground.
You know what's funny about that? That night, some guy took his iPhone and put it on Charles when I was doing the scrying event, and Charles was itching his head and a spirit flew right out. There's actually an actual video on that.
Well,
and it was a cutting edge night for paranormal, and it was great. It was a great thing. Lots of great results came out of that night.
it won me over. And
We
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 become
we started doing theater work too after that, with the whole phenomenon of that night.
we brought that show to the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport. We brought it to
Yes.
Penfield Pavilion, places where we put it on as a production. And that's in addition to taking people to haunted places that are well known throughout the state of Connecticut.
Yep.
And and doing like a full 3-hour presentation, which starts with dinner.
Yep.
It does an orientation, and then we do the
Paranormal
ghost
class.
tours, whether it's the cemetery, whether it's Dudleytown, whether it's all the, and then Nick said, "Hey, Charles, you produce these beetle conventions. You've been a convention guy all these years. Why don't we do a Paraconn, a paranormal convention?"
I'll
Like
never
that.
forget it. It was
I didn't. I
on.
said,
It was
said
on one
yes.
of those Fright Haven nights.
I said
I'm like,
yes.
dude,
Yeah.
why don't we just go further at this rate? Because me and Hev have been so successful with everything. Like, why not take it a step further and do like an actual paranormal convention? And it like sold out completely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Me and Charles, like, we like spreading paranormal awareness, but like when it comes to events, we're very passionate about it, and we want everybody to have a good time and experience stuff. And the Paraconn sold out, and we're expecting the same type of crowd this year, and the results are coming in as well this year. So we're expecting the same results. But me and Charles are very passionate about this whole thing, especially because Connecticut is one of the most haunted states you could be in. And me and him
There's a
are,
lot.
that's another thing that we're very passionate about, me and Charles.
I gotta ask you guys a question. When you guys came up with the whole to do the Paraconn, what made you pick the haunted armory in Ansonia?
Well, you know what? Me and Charles actually explored the armory itself for paranormal evidence, and we spent about 2 to 3 hours there. And there's actually this shooting gallery downstairs that's closed off to the public, and apparently somebody committed suicide down there, and that's why the whole place has paranormal activity. But the interesting thing is this, like, we actually have a photo of a shadow person scaling the pipes over there, and it's just a really cool, like, badass fort, and it was just the perfect place to put on a paranormal convention, and it worked out just great. And you know what the thing is, Connecticut is probably one of the most haunted places you could be in one, I'm not saying the most haunted, but one of the probably top 5 places you could be in the United States. And the valley, which is Shelton, Ansonia, Oxford, and all that, works out just perfect, because I like to call that the Connecticut Triangle. And it worked out just great with me and Charles, and it seems to be working out again, even more this time, actually.
You notice the connection between the Connecticut Triangle and 3 corners of horror. It's all ties in, guys.
Yes. I love it.
Well,
I
Yes.
mean, so like Dracula Drive. Do you believe
Dracula Drive. Oh my!
Do you believe it's a myth? Or it's
I've
real.
I
For me,
went
it's
looking
real.
so many
I've
times.
had- I have had some crazy shit happen to me there. So,
Yeah.
Charles, Nick, Dracula Drive.
Okay, I'll
Fake
tell you
or
this.
real?
You know what's funny about that? A few months ago, me and Charles actually traveled there, and a few months prior to that, they have these cryptid creatures called melon heads.
Oh,
I've been obsessed with for a long time,
dude.
and
They are there.
Yeah, they're these
They're
short
there.
midgets with big heads that
Yes.
cannibalize.
Um,
I grew up with that story, man. I've been
Yes,
looking for
yes,
the melon
a lot
heads.
of people.
The melon,
You know what
the
the
melon,
thing
the
that
melon
kills
heads.
me? The
hold on,
thing
the
that
melon
the
heads
thing
live.
that gets me.
Hold on.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, the thing that gets me is like it's this very silly sounding story, but so many people in the valley believe it. So there has to be some type of truth towards it. And I went into Velvet Drive about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and I went in the woods and I actually found shacks and all this stuff of backwoods type of folks that probably would live there. But me and Charles actually went there a few months ago, and it's a very creepy road and it's very cool, and I love it.
I
We're-
love it.
We
All
were
right.
considering doing the ghost tour there for a while,
So
but maybe that's on the list. But there's
It's called
also
Lauren.
Dudley Town. Me and Charles did a ghost tour there, and the
I
stuff that
gotta
was
go.
happening
I
at
heard
that
a lot
ghost
about
tour
that.
was epic. And that's like the most major place in Connecticut is Dudley Town. And
I thought it was the asylum.
No, it's Dudley Town.
Fairfield
Fairfield
Hills
is-
Fairfield Hills.
is a little second, but Dudley Town is up there, right
All
there.
right.
And we did a ghost tour there, and people were experiencing like a lot of very bizarre things. And Charles could share about like the guy that his hair raised up and all that stuff.
Guys, you won't believe, but there was one guy on the trip. I always love pointing out the non-believer because he came with us to Dudley Town with his girlfriend and he was rolling his eyes and yeah, sure, I don't believe this, I don't believe that. All of a sudden we start pointing to him and it's, what is it? Because I'm the only one who's not into this? No, you're the only one whose hair is being pulled up by some invisible force. His hair is sticking up in the air. It's a story, and we actually show a picture of him with his hair up in the air in my new book, which we will get to. And it's really funny because there were like 3 or 4 different encounters in the few times that we went to Dudley Town. And I can just, go by the fact that Nick say, wait till you go into this one patch of area because life as you know it will stop. And I didn't really get what he meant till you go in there and you don't hear the dogs barking like you do in the background. You don't hear crickets. You don't see birds flying around. There's the one squirrel that's zips away, but it's like no wildlife, no sounds. It's just there's no logic behind it. And is the guy's hair that went up in the air, was that an electronic magnetic something or other
Static or something.
in the middle of a forest?
Electromagnetic.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
It's electromagnetic.
Do the
You know what
cricket?
the great thing about that, Charles, is that he was having such a poor time. Like he didn't believe in paranormal at all. But his girlfriend or his wife was completely into it. And then like halfway through the ghost tour, his hair rose and he was a complete believer after that. And you know what that's
Rude
very
awakening.
special about me and Charles's events is that we it's very true. We often turn people into believers, which is the most craziest thing. And this happens very often, actually.
You
we
turned me
really
into a
do.
believer. Nick, no, I wasn't into this until, you came into my life and you've become, it was always rock and roll and horror. And now it's still rock and roll and horror, but with paranormal as a big, big part of it, a big, big influence. And,
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's people who don't, like the crossover. And if they're, paranormal people, they're strictly that. But look at Nick's tattoos and, all of us here, we're into both.
All right, Paraconn, you guys have been doing this for a few now. What do you guys do to keep improving it year to year? And what's going to make this year stand out from your previous years?
Like, you know what? Me and Charles got together a few years back and we clicked immediately. And like, he's my brother and just about basically my best friend right now. And he's a great guy. And we just clicked and put on these awesome paranormal events. And this year, last year Paraconn was a sellout ground. And this year, Charles and I are putting on the tickets are just selling like crazy. So we have John Zaffis, the haunted collector that is based in Stratford, that is the nephew of Ed Warren and collects all
Ooh.
sorts of haunted artifacts. We have the amazing Kreskin, who is basically like Chris Angel, but like he's like
The OG.
a living at
Yeah.
the OG.
Yeah, he's the
the
OG.
He is the OG.
He is,
the
yeah,
OG.
he's the OG. And I have a bunch of my artifacts on display. Good God, they're wild. And there's some artifacts I'm going to actually let people interact with, like hold the artifacts to and put the meter to and all sorts of stuff. But
I won't touch 'em.
what, Charles and I, like we put on,
Smart.
Charles and I put on, kick-ass paranormal events and horror events. And you know what? After this, we're hitting the roads to Massachusetts, and we're doing Salem Paraconn.
Oh,
Nice.
But I'm not going to say too much about that. We're not saying too much about that.
But thanks for that tip. Thanks for that
Mhm.
teaser.
We're
Yeah.
going on the road.
That's coming up.
Wait.
That was the goal. The goal is, if you get something where everyone walks out of a place and it's 100% satisfaction, well, you got to think, how do we make it better? If you can make it
Yes.
better, that's great. If you can make it bigger, that's great. Sometimes you can't. In this case, we redesigned the layout so we can fit more vendors. We had 60
Yep.
last year. We've got 80 this year, and that sold out like 2 months ago. So we couldn't even add another person if we wanted to, as far as vendors. And the quality is just through the roof of readers, people who are going to do just a lot of things on the spot and make
Lots
it
of
interactive.
psychics.
Plus your horror merch, the T-shirts and the
Oh, yeah.
posters and all the cool stuff and all the craft people. If you went last year, it's more and more of the same. But like Nick said, the fact that we have an equal amount of guests as last year, but then raised that bar to bring in Kreskin, who, the world's most famous mentalist. Everyone who's
Yeah.
ever through the years follow him. I always say, if you're talking paranormal, you're talking the Warrens. If you're talking magic, you talk Houdini. If you're talking mentalism, if you're not saying Kreskin out of your mouth first.
Kreskin, yeah.
So the fact that he's still alive and we're able to get him, I think it's just such a coup.
That's a good
And then-
get. Yeah.
And then for the paranormal purist, John Zaffis, the Warren's nephew. It's just is very exciting. And we did something a little sneaky. Both of those guys are at the convention both days. They're going to be signing autographs. They'll be signing books. They'll be meeting fans, taking pictures. But we're not having them as guest speakers during the convention. Other guests are. But we're having an after party on Saturday night at 8:00. And that's in this church, which is right next to the Ansonia Armory. And the church was amazing. They said, sure, if you keep it to about 100 people, we'll let you do it. So we're having the after event there where Kreskin's the opening act. He's going to do his stuff, best of Kreskin for 20 minutes, pow. And then John Zaffis comes on with a full presentation. So we really haven't made that public. We're telling you guys, of course, because we want you to be part of it. But the only people who really know about it are people who bought the tickets in advance and got the email. So I think it may even be sold out now. I don't know if it's not. There's maybe 15 or 20 tickets left. But when the convention hours are 11 to 6 Saturday and Sunday, then Saturday night is the after party, and it's going to have
That's going to be wild.
John Zaffis
And you know what the thing is, like, about what me and Charles do is, like, I think we go with a formula. Why not make people forget for a few hours and enjoy themselves? And that's what
Best
me and
formula.
Charles
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
We try to make people forget
It's all
and
about
have
that.
a damn
Yeah.
good time. And that's what's going to happen this weekend. Me and Charles succeed at that, just about every time. And, that's part of, entertainment, but it's also educational what we do. When we bring people on our ghost tours, we call it a ghost tour / paranormal class. And, we hand them equipment and we teach people like the basics on it. But you know what? Why not make people forget for a couple hours? That's the whole thing. And
Mhm.
that's what we want to do. We want people to have a good time. And, God, last year's was such good vibes. And this year's going to be the same thing. It's actually a very wonderful phenomenon.
And
Charles and I.
there's one other aspect of the convention, which is a first, and there's a book launch.
Yes,
Yes.
big
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
big
Let's
time.
hear about it. Let's hear about it.
Well,
Well, wait, that's my next question, wouldn't it be?
Oh, I'm
what-
sorry, Joe. I did not read.
Oh, yeah, no. Hold on.
Yeah, Joe.
That way, format, people, format. Damn it, the ghost is behind me.
Just-
All right, so I'm just jump in real quick.
Go for it.
Oh, I'm gonna see who I'm gonna pick first. All right, so here we are. What other projects do you guys have for this year? You know what, Nick, you go first. Charles, you're gonna go second because I'm gonna expect my free copy. But Nick, you
All
go
right.
first.
Okay, I'm gonna blow it up. I don't know if Charles has accepted of this, but you're having me go first. So we're doing a Salem, Massachusetts Paranormal Convention in November. And it's gonna be huge. And it's a horror,
Damn it.
psychic, and paranormal convention infused in one.
Oh, we're going.
Just
We're
like
going.
Paraconn. Oh,
Y'all
God, it's
gonna I
be
know.
great.
I could have if y'all would have moved it up like a month, I would have been
Yeah.
there, but you know.
There's no other dude I would do this with. It's just Charles. Period. There's no other person I know on the whole face of this earth. Charles is the man. He's my boy. He's my brother, and we're doing this, and we're taking on the road, and who knows, maybe after this we'll take it somewhere else. But we're doing a Salem Paranormal Convention in November.
And the reason you say you wish we moved it up a month. Can't do anything in Salem in October.
But you know what?
No,
Charles,
it's November. Actually, it's November.
Yeah,
So
but
when-
you know what's the funny thing about Salem, Charles,
Yes.
is it could be October, but November bleeds in with the whole Halloween thing. It doesn't matter. It bleeds in, which is
Right.
cool.
It's
Yeah, it
November
does.
12th and 13th.
And you
And
know what?
to-
Me and Charles are great promoters. We take passionate in what we do, and we plan on making this another big one. And Charles has a book coming out that's dedicated to paranormal in Connecticut, and it's pretty wild. And that's one thing about the Paraconn that's going on right now. Paranormal convention in Ansonia, I'm talking about.
Yeah, this weekend, baby.
That's it, baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on, let's go. Everyone,
Can't
come to
wait.
Paraconn.
That's it.
It's sold out though, isn't it? No one else.
I bought my tickets already.
Getting there, it's getting sold out.
Tickets
Okay,
already.
so
All right. So
if you're
maybe
watching-
next year, maybe next year I'll join you guys so we can get our spot.
See, me and Gr, Jose, we live in Connecticut. Joe lives in
Y'all should
Florida,
have done it.
so that's why he's always away from us. But
Well, let's tell the viewers that if it sells out in advance, we always hold aside 50 tickets at the door. So there's a lot of people who don't know a show sells out and they come to the door. We don't want to turn someone away if they've
Away.
come from New York or
that's a good practice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Me and Charles, we make it happen. If we're sold out, we always make it people welcome to somehow come into our events.
That's cool.
We do.
That's
Even
cool.
if it's sold out, it's the truth. Even with our ghost stores and everything else.
So what's the date for the Salem Paraconn?
November 12th and 13th
Very
And-
excited.
at Salem State University. So people actually have parking because you can't
Yeah.
park in Salem. And
Yep.
it's in November because in October, there's so many other things going on leading up to Halloween.
Yeah.
Salem is just, so now I'll answer the second part because Nick answered the first
He
part.
did. I did not want to say anything. He literally, I'm like, well, shit.
And
he
he kind of,
literally just answered his part of the question. Like, go ahead.
and he almost answered my part of it, but I will add that after the last Paraconn and after Nick and I started doing all these investigations, I'm thinking I've had 3 or 4 great stories, firsthand experiences that I'd like to write a book. And I'm thinking, wait a second, that's not enough for a book. And there's all these people who've come before me. I'm a newbie at this. I'm just like my cherry has been popped for the paranormal. before this, I'm telling you. So with all these people who I have high regard for, who are people in Nick's level, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I can get them to tell me or write me or give me their best true stories of what's happened to them, specifically in Connecticut. And so I asked Nick first, and he right off the bat, Fairfield Hills Asylum. He gave me two amazing
Great
ones.
place.
It's a great place.
Good God.
Unlike
God.
some books that are out there, which will give you the history of places, what I did is I have true stories that happened in these places. Now, most of them are places we've heard of, you know, Hookman Cemetery, Dudley Town, but a lot of them happened in people's homes or in homes that they visited. So we've got the true stories in here. Unless the people, you know, swore that these were true, I was not going to print it. And I'm blessed because I have a forward by the amazing Kreskin. I'm out to write the forward. But if you go through the book, you know, the cover itself, that's a picture that I took at the Ansonia Opera House. Nick always says, take pictures of Charles. It's cold in that area. Take pictures, take pictures. And I don't see anything. I don't smell anything. I don't feel anything. And I take the pictures. And in this case, there was a whole slew. I took about 30 shots of an open doorway at the top of the opera house where the light was pouring through. Nobody was up there. And in one of the shots, there was this black
Shadow being, yeah.
shadow figure. And that made it to the cover of the book. But there's endless photos of things that accompany the stories. You've got over 30 chapters. And I don't want to mention some of the people who contributed, because if I leave anybody out, we'll be doing, you know, a disservice. Yeah. But know that it's a great read. It's about 33 chapters. Hopefully people will love it enough that there'll be a second volume someday. But it's the first time that I've ever gotten to launch a book at a convention where not only will I get to sign it for folks, but as they go around the room and they visit John Zaffis and Kreskin and Nick and the peers and all these people who were guests at the convention, they can get the book signed and their chapters can be signed by the people.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Convention.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Jason McLeod, the other, he's a paranormal investigator, he's a demonologist, and he wrote a chapter and he's a guest at the convention. Well, guess what? Folks can have him sign right in the book. So that's never going to happen ever again, where all the people, well, most of the people who contributed to the book are in one place at one time and be able to sign it. So if you're like me and you're a collector and you like autographs and you like signed books,
I'm gonna say I'm gonna jump in and say, so long as you sign it for me, that's all I need. I don't need the other ones. I have your book on my. We did the green screen tonight, but your book is on my bookshelf.
This one.
Yes. So, yeah, no, I'm not asking for it for free. I mean, I guess they can pay for shipping, so long as you sign it. All right, I want my signed copy of your book.
Don't worry, your brother's going. He'll get you a signed copy. You're good, Joe.
I'm talking to Charles. I'm knocking the middle guy out. The actual writer.
Well, you need to fly over here to Connecticut so you can go to Paraconn this weekend.
There you go.
The wonderful thing too is that me and Charles have always taken pride on Connecticut being one of the most haunted states.
It is
that you could live in. It really is. And he wrote a book on it with all the personal stories. Massachusetts too, but Connecticut really even more. But it's just like there's so many reasons why Connecticut could be one of the most haunted places. There's the Revolutionary War, there's witch trials, there's burial grounds all over the place, Native American, and there's also endless amounts of quartz all over the place. And there's also underground water all over the place. So that could contribute to why like stuff is like very haunted around here. But like it's very special that Charles included like all, you know, the major, you know, paranormal stuff that goes on around here, which is very cool. There's also been, you know, there's been documents of paranormal in Connecticut, but Charles made it personal and invited just about all the paranormal explorers to share their personal stories in his book, which is very cool. And we take pride in the hauntings of our nutmeg state here.
He's actually the first person I know that has focused on Connecticut.
Yeah.
Like I've listened and read a lot of stuff, but Charles, you're the first person, like as far as our generation, who's focused on Connecticut, illustrating the fact that we come from a background of old school. It's old school. I mean, like,
Dude, you have an aura around here right now, man.
I hear that all the time. It's
not
freaking
really
me out on the
aura,
video
but
right
it's the
now.
camera.
It's freaking me
It's
out on the
like,
camera right now.
how you
I
just
know.
flash.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot.
That's a work in progress. That's his first time. So
No. But in the supernatural, I hear that. I actually hear that a lot. I hear it a lot from, like, coming from like Jamaican, like a lot of like people tell me I have an aura, and it freaks me out that I'm trying to figure out the video, and it's showing up right now as we're talking about supernatural.
Too. See, one of you is surrounded by aura. The rest of you are surrounded by horror.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Mind you, I'm more horror than they are, but I got the
whoa,
aura.
hold on.
No,
please.
What's this dude say?
We're not doing this.
Just because you're older does not mean you're more horror guy
I
than you
have
are.
watched more horror
what's a
movies than
great
you guys and
what's a
all
great
kinds.
horror
You
movie
wish.
that I will watch millions of times is Texas Chainsaw 2, the comedy.
Oh
And
yeah,
the Gate.
but Dennis
The
Hopper.
Gate. Yes, the Gate is also good.
Don't
too.
get them started on individual movies, guys.
Good God.
Yeah. We get passionate about that.
Yep.
Well, guys, any final closing thoughts you want to add before we wrap this up? Please, the
Charles?
floor is
Yeah,
yours.
thanks. So, True Ghosts of Connecticut will debut at Paraconn this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to sign copies like crazy. For those of you who can't make it to the show, it's available on Amazon. If you want to get a signed copy, you can't do that through Amazon. It's at www.paranormalconnecticut.com, unless you're one of the hosts of the show and you're in Florida, and then somehow you'll magically get one. I'll also have a few copies left of my first book,
That's a good one.
the book of top 10 horror lists, put out by Bear Manor Media. And it's the website for that is www.bookoftop10horrorlists.com, where 100 celebrities gave their favorite horror lists, and people just love it. The reviews on Amazon are amazing, and it's available from Amazon. And I've got a new porno book on Nick coming out. And
I thought I heard that. Right. I'm like, did he say a new porno
80s
book?
porno music.
It's funny because I kept listening. Okay, what's this?
I heard it. I'm like, wait, what?
Wait, hold on, real quick, Charles. Your new book. When will it be available to order on Amazon?
I'm not going to tell anybody, but it's out there now.
Okay,
It's on pre-release, but the actual launch is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
awesome.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes,
Congratulations.
congrats.
That's his second book. That's
Great
not
book.
many people
Very
can achieve
interesting.
that in their lives. So
So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
does that mean you're gonna come back on the show to talk about your book?
Come back for every possible reason.
Yeah.
You know I love you guys.
Yeah, man.
I'll talk about it once I get my free copy.
Don't listen to this guy.
So for us, I mean, for me, I went to last year's Paraconn, enjoyed it. It was awesome, good experience. Was talking to Charles where I met Nick.
Yeah.
I know for our channel, we would be very interested in joining you guys on your ghost tours. I mean, it's something me and Rick talked about, so
Absolutely.
something we definitely want to do. So yeah, keep us in tune when you guys
Live it up, live it up on the ghost tours. Come with us,
This
Oh,
year,
man.
you'll
Looking
see-
forward to
Why
it.
not?
You'll
Yeah.
see when you come to the show, there's two podcast teams that have booths there. And that might be something we can do, in future years where you guys
Absolutely.
actually man a booth and spread the word on.
Because
we're targeting for next year, hopefully.
people's experiences on the ghost tours are very personal. Like the last one we had in Waterbury, we had a gentleman when we were like doing the lecture and he was eating dinner. He was terrified of the ghost, and then we went to the haunted location. And he's like, "I want to come back." So that's the gift of me and Charles. Like that's what we bring. Like we turn skeptic instead of believers, and we turn people who are scared, curious to come back. Like it's not a regular ghost tour. What we do, it really isn't. But
You guys give it a whole
Yeah.
we
fresh
do
coat
our
of
best.
paint.
We're
Yeah,
passionate.
you're
We're
bringing
very
it
passionate.
to people in a whole different light, and that's That's what it is, man. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Nick, anything else you wanted to bring up or before we close up?
I'm just gonna bring this up from Texas Chainsaw too. Come on, Grandpa, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
That's gonna bring it.
Nice.
Come on, Grandpa, let's get on with it.
All right. With that being said,
Here it is, right here. Dennis
you.
Hopper.
coming
right there,
through.
if you can
Look
see
at
him.
the tattoos. I'm my boy
Yes.
Nick right there. I am Ricky
Yes.
Grimes. We got JR, Joe, Charles, and Nick. Shaman and The
The
Showman.
Showman, baby.
Paraconn this weekend. Guys that are in town in Connecticut. You heard.
Yep.
You got a chance.
You heard,
got a
baby.
chance. Be part of it.
You
because
heard.
it's a great time. I heard great things about it. I'm gonna experience my first Paraconn this weekend.
Yes,
I know
man.
it's gonna be a blast. I cannot.
Yeah,
wait.
man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Horror Fiend
Heard.
TV, Three Corners of Horror. Thank you for watching. With that being said, stay scared.
You heard.
You heard.
Howdy, this is Kreskin. Now, of course, you know me as the amazing Kreskin. And I predict that the Paranormal Convention coming to Ansonia, Connecticut on the weekend of July 16th and 17th is going to be an unforgettable experience.